We have a quorum, Pat Pio attending by speakerphone. So we're going to call the meeting to order at 20 minutes of 7. New business. Okay. New business. Discussion, possible decision, notice of reconfiguration of land 863 Main Street.
Mr. Parks?
Hi. John Parks on behalf of DNS. We were here, and you've seen this map previously. Actually, we were here about the piece with all the little triangles in it, maybe a month ago or 2 months ago.
Right.
And now we're here on the piece with the stars in it.
Yeah, 871 Main Street was the other piece.
Yeah, so should have done them both at the same time, but so basically the developer is giving that house that's very close to 190 all the land with the stars, and in exchange, down at the end where the little nub is going west, yes, they're giving that to the developer. It's like a land swap. Developer gets a little bit of frontage on 190. House gets a yard. Not creating any new lots. And then we still have one more piece that we got to swap with one of the Galbraiths, that little triangle with the squiggly lines. That hasn't quite come.
Kind of a piecemeal project, but okay.
It is piecemeal.
And this additional frontage is everything maintains a legal lot, right?
Oh, for the
Right.
existing place?
Right.
Yeah, they
This
got
doesn't change the property frontage at all. This increases it, and they're all with.
right. That increases what's basically a lot of vacant land.
Right.
But the house has adequate frontage, and now is probably like doubled or tripled its yard
Right.
size.
So yes, this is being added to this.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
And this is being added over here.
There we go.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. This frontage is on Turnpike, right?
Both Turnpike and
Okay.
Main Street.
Okay. All right. That
Yeah,
goes all the way out.
it's,
here.
it's the corner, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this was the end.
That's the old
So
pool
here's
house.
adding
Yeah.
here.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
We can get some more geometric shapes next time.
Yeah.
Any comments or concerns from town staff?
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
Motion to approve reconfiguration of 863 Main Street as shown.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? You still with us?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Do you need a map? I have two.
No, I got one. But I'm going to need Mylars for both pieces
Okay.
for signatures.
Yep.
How soon are you going to do that third configuration?
I don't know the answer on
Just
that.
wondering if you could do one set of Mylars rather than 3.
Well, that's, yeah, if you can do it all,
Oh, okay.
and then we can just,
Okay. For all three.
yeah, do one Mylar for all three, but it'll get segregated to each lot though. When
Okay.
it goes, when it's,
I'll email Jay probably tomorrow.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Good night.
I don't know how expensive they are,
Thank
but
you
none
for
of
that.
that's cheap.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
And then, yep, sorry,
go ahead.
I'm used to saying it. So next is 7 Hitching Post Lane, reconfiguration.
Do you have the,
We're just looking, Brad and I are looking for a lot line adjustment between the two of us. Unfortunately, we delivered all the maps.
Yeah.
And we've been working with the town cemetery to make sure everything is in order for the request.
Yeah, this is what I highlighted.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, so yeah, I was trying to. It's just the evening.
And the sanitarians looked at it and signed it already for those.
Okay, so the septic and well issues all are within
Yes.
plenty of frontage,
Yep.
both lots, square footage stays right. Any additional questions from the committee? Concerns by town staff?
No, everything looks good.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve reconfiguration of 7 Hitching Post Lane.
Have a second?
Second.
Great, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Trying to make sure it's.
Thank you. The next step is to get a set of Mylars, I guess?
Yeah, I'll need a set of Mylars
Okay,
for the board to sign, for the chairman to sign, and the sanitarian to sign.
all right.
Okay.
I'll get that to you, yes.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Okay, so these guys can go home. Can we have a motion to take it out of order?
So moved.
Sure.
Okay, can we go on to the zoning referral? Referral from zoning for application 23-001. First one of the year.
I don't know what that means.
don't know what you
My wife came home. This dog is making her choke over there, so I told her to go outside. You sound terrible.
The dog is making her choke?
Yeah.
And she's gonna groom dogs?
Well, this one dog, he came in with something. I don't know.
Ah,
That's
okay.
why he was there. Anyway,
Alright.
as she came home, she's like coughing like crazy.
Yep.
Maybe we got her in. Okay.
You okay?
You're up.
Stop coughing.
Okay.
We don't- You're up.
Okay.
All right, so you want to put a dog grooming business in a business zoned area?
Correct.
Sounds like a plan. Any concerns from town staff?
No, it's a vacant.
Right.
It's vacant. We're right across the street, right
You
behind the town hall.
look out the back door. It's right there.
I'm actually happy to see anything go into any of the vacant spots in town.
Well, it's
at this
starting to
point,
fill
and-
up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's a good thing.
yeah. Oh yeah. You know, we're going to keep it small, and Heather has a clientele.
Okay.
Yep.
You're starting at least with just one tub and,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
All right. Any questions from staff? In
Seeing
town?
those from zoning, so
No,
Question? All right.
motion to send back to zoning with a positive referral.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
You're in business. Well,
So-
not quite yet. but-
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I'm
come
gonna.
back on the 20.
Not if it's for the public hearing.
Yeah, for public hearing.
Right.
22nd.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And I'll,
All set.
when I do the minutes, I'll give them to Jen for zoning, and then she'll have it to give to the board at the public hearing.
okay.
Okay.
Perfect. You made it real easy. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
Good night.
appreciate it.
We try.
Thank you.
When things make
Yeah.
sense, when things make sense, we try not to make it too difficult.
Well, like you said, you don't want a vacant building out
Right.
there.
I think when people are putting a business in some place that's supposed to have a business, it seems logical to
It
me.
makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Um,
So,
Thank you.
thank you. We
You're welcome.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Do we want to modify the agenda to open for public comment on anything not on the agenda?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, can I have a motion to modify the agenda? All right. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, modify the agenda for audience participation on anything not on the agenda. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say to the commission?
I assume I'm the only one left in the room. Yeah, I wrote an email to Selectman Tim over the weekend. And it was because of a interaction I had with a neighbor up where the gates were installed on
Right.
County Road.
I saw the this.
Adam, did you see the copy?
It was the second confrontation I had with a neighbor, and you know, it was just pretty upsetting. The first time was when I came to pick up the key that the residents of the road were going to be given.
Mhm.
I came to the town hall after work, you know, just before 5 o'clock. I picked up the key. I'm not sure exactly when it was, but I'm sure that, you know, it's on public record. What I went home, I decided, oh, I'm gonna use my key to take the.
You got a key, you make
down
sure
the
it
road,
works, right?
So when I went up to try, I went up, pulled up to the gate, got out, and I tried to put the key in the lock, and the key wouldn't go in the lock. So, you know, I looked at the lock, and I mean, there was some kind of a Chinese knockoff lock, and, you know, I mean, it wouldn't even actually go into the lock. So I did call down and talk to, is it Mr. Parisi?
That's me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And, you know, and I mentioned that, you know, what kind of lock is supposed to be on here, because my key doesn't fit. He told me the name on the key, which I can't remember what it is, but, you know, this one just had a blue stripe on the band and it said security, and that was about it. You know, so he said he would report that to Todd.
Mhm.
But I left and I came back because I wanted to take a picture of the lock. And then when I came back, Dave Worthington comes out and he starts yelling about, you know, people leaving the gate open, and I'm sick and tired of this, and, you know, you guys better knock it off. And I'm going like, well, geez, I just got my key now. I mean, I don't know what the heck's going on. And, yeah, and then he then proceeded to tell me that he said, you know what, anyway, I told him just, basically, I'm pretty sure I said, you know, just get out of my face, leave me alone, you know, I'm not, just, you know, and I'm just gonna get out now. I got in my truck, and as I'm getting in my truck, he yelled at me, he goes, if you ever drive up this road again like that, you and I are gonna go at it, and you're not gonna like the outcome. And, anyway, I backed up, I left, and, you know, that was it. Over the weekend, Sunday, I decided, I figured, all right, you know what, I avoid him, I'm gonna come down from the other direction, which I did, and when I got to the lake, to the gate, again, I came out, but I was surprised. That same blue lock, or lock with security, was on there, and, you know, now I'm down at the bottom lower gate, and it's, you know, so I basically trapped. You know, I mean, I suppose, you know, I could risk backing up, but I didn't want to do that. And so I called 911. An officer came. He tried his key. I told him my thought was, and I told him, I said, I can't verify, and I have no, I'm just making an assumption that the lock is owned by Dave Worthington. And he asked me if I went up to the house, and I said, no, I'm not going up to the house. He went up there, there was nobody home. He called Todd. Todd sent one of his guys out, cut the lock, opened the gate, we all left. I was just going to the transfer station. They dumped off, you know, my trash and my recyclables, and I come back, and so I wasn't really gone too long. I go back, and I'm going to drive up the road and go home. So when I drive up the road, well, the gate's closed. But I looked, and there's no lock on it. So I said, all right, well, you know, I get out of my truck, I open the door, and I open the gate, and as I'm walking back to my truck, again, he comes out, and, you know, and he's pretty confrontational, and, you know, pretty angry. And he starts telling me that, you know, I'm sick and tired of you guys leaving the goddamn gate open. He goes, and I got you on camera. I got a camera right up there, and I'm watching everything. I saw what you did, and, you know, and I just said, listen, I said, call the cops. I said, you know, just, you know, leave me alone. Just call the cops. And I'm leaving, you know, and, you know, he's coming up to me, and he starts yelling at me. He goes, if you guys aren't going to close that goddamn effing gate, he says, I'm going to weld that goddamn thing shut. And I left. So, you know, I do look at this now. I mean, I don't know if I'm the only one experiencing this. I haven't really talked to anybody. You know, I'm not in here trying to make trouble with the guy. I mean, I just want to, you know, use what I have a right to do, which is to use the gate, which I haven't been able to use my key yet because it's always been, you know, the wrong lock on that one. And, you know, the guy, you know, he just, it's like he's the god of the road. He owns the road. He owns the gate. It's his. He's got a camera up there. He's watching everybody, and you know, and he's an angry guy. And you know, I did find out, and I don't have any. I don't have any documentation, but that you know, he does have a past history, and you know, he was incarcerated at one time, and you know, he did take a life of somebody. I mean, granted, it was years ago. I just don't know what the guy's capable of doing. I don't know him well. And in my opinion, I mean, if I'm feeling this, I don't know who else might be feeling
Well,
this. I
let
don't
me-
know what he might do, and I look at this.
Let me
as
kind of
huge
interrupt you a bit,
liability.
because I think I want to bring kind of the scope of this commission's authority and ability into this. We have the ability to approve changes the town wants to make, or disapprove changes the town wants to make on that road because it's a scenic road. So as far as the town is concerned and this committee is concerned, it's still an open, active town road when the town wants it to be, and gated off when the town wants it to be gated off for public safety concerns, right? This really sounds more like a neighborhood relations or law enforcement issue than something this committee really has any jurisdiction to handle. I mean, the town is operating in good faith as much as practicable to keep, the access that we ask them to do available to people up there. But we really don't have the jurisdiction to affect the behavior of individual citizens one way or the other.
Certainly
I think
understand
people
that.
leaving the gate open and people throwing their own locks on the gate each create their own different set of hazards for the community at large. And that, they didn't abandon, the town chose not to abandon that road for a reason. They need to be able to get up there, deal with power issues, deal with tree issues. And, it has to be closed off when the town needs it to be closed off or feels it's unsafe to be open. And the town and people who have legitimate access need to be able to have that legitimate access. When the town cop shows up on a town road and can't get past a gate, I think that's a problem. But that's a problem for the town, the law enforcement branches of this town and Public Works to kind of hash out who's going to come up with the right solution to the problem. We can only act in terms of land use issues, not the character either way of the individuals involved in the situation.
I certainly understand that. Again, I was, Tim, he referred me to come to the meeting.
Okay.
I had no idea what I was walking into. I mean, I just assumed that somebody would ask me some questions. I really didn't know. I saw the agenda, I looked at that online. But, I think my point in the end is, I mean, listen, the guy's got a history. I don't know what he's capable of doing. We put a gate up there and we're stopping vehicles from going. We stop the vehicle, and if people have a key, they're getting out of their vehicle to go. And this guy, he's sitting there watching. He's got a camera, and he's an angry man. He really is. And I look at this as, I don't know what is going to happen, but I just envision someday somebody's going to get hurt. Whether they're, I don't know what he would do. I mean, whether he would revert back to what he did 40 years ago, or whatever it was.
Well, it's really not germane for discussion here. I understand your concerns.
Yeah.
And given that Tim Keeney referred you to us, I guess it would be inappropriate and rude for me to refer you back to him, but this really is, really more of a law enforcement or public works sort of issue, depending on how far the town wants to push their right to keep their lock on the gate,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's nothing this commission has any jurisdiction over.
So I mean, when I was at the meeting when the
Yes.
decision was made,
Right.
I know that, I think there were folks there that, wanted to use the road,
Mhm.
including, I'm not sure the gentleman's name on the corner in the greenhouse, because, I'll be sitting up on my front porch and I'll see him drive by in his whatever, 1910 pickup truck or
Yeah.
whatever, And, one of the things that was brought up, and I believe, Todd, you brought it up, I mean, we can put a gate up, or we can fix the road, and it would be a cost to fix the road. Now, I don't know exactly what those costs are or anything,
There's a couple of commas in it.
but, and I'm sure there is, but then again, from the town's perspective is, you know, if something does happen, you know, I look at that and I think that that's, you know, a liability to the town. I feel it's a liability to the town. And, you know, that in itself could be a much more overwhelming number than the number it would take to, I think you said you had to cut the rock or something that's there on the corner or do something. And, you know, my thought, I mean, and I don't, again, I don't know, but, you know, I question whether it would be a better decision to take the gate down, to fix the road, to make the road, you know, passable, you know, to the safety standards that
We,
need to be.
we act on proposals. In these sorts of situations, we're sort of an adjudicate body. We play judge. Right? The town comes to us with their proposal. This is what the town, with their engineering staff and their budgeting staff and folks felt like was the best solution to meet their needs. They bring it to us. We have a public hearing. We hear, you know, opposition, people speaking in favor, what the proposal is, what people see wrong with the proposal, and we kind of make a yes or no decision on whether or not the proposal passes muster or doesn't pass muster. We're not really the second set of engineers for what the town chooses to do. We just make sure that it fits the plan of conservation and development, the town regulations, and, you know, reasonable engineering standards that they assure us, or the town engineer assures us they're meeting.
There's a
But-
couple things going on here. To Brad's point, that this body heard the proposal from the town that we close the road for the reasons of it's unsafe in its current condition, really to anybody that doesn't know anything about the road. And my position was it should be closed and only open during emergencies, and only Public Works and Emergency Services have access. This body heard that request, and in a conciliatory move, suggested that the residents of County Road would have keys. The intention was that they would have keys to open and close the gates occasionally, not everyday use. So we installed the gates, Public Works installed the gates, we put the town locks on them, we issued out the keys, and shortly after we issued the keys, both locks were removed. We went up and put locks on them again, and shortly thereafter they were removed. So the intention and what's actually happening are two different things. The intention is that road is not good enough to be used as a road. Incidental use by residents who are very familiar with it during the day was a compromise. It seemed like a reasonable compromise. I think it still is. However, whoever is removing the locks doesn't see it that way. When removes the locks, leaves the gate open, then it's a road again. And it's dangerous, inherently dangerous. As far as the personality concerned, and if something happened between certain people, that's a police matter. That could happen anywhere at any time, at any place, not just there.
That's okay. He blamed me for the lock, but it was your guy that did the lock, and he must know because he had it on camera, so.
Yeah, no, and Dave hasn't called me. If he did, I said, no, we took the lock down.
I'm the one that took the brunt of it from him, you know?
Do we have options?
Well, I'm going to make a recommendation next week to the Board of Selectmen that we put new locks on there that no one has keys to, and I will send letters out to everyone of County Road and say, if you would like to use the road on the weekends during the warmer month, you have to give us 5 days' notice, and we will go up and open the gates on Fridays and close them on Mondays. I don't know if the Board of Selectmen will approve that, agree with it, change it, or what have you, but that is my next fallback position, because this issue is taking up way too much of our time, honestly. Now, to go in and develop the road into a bona fide road that meets all the standards, we could do that. It's going to involve taking people's land, because it's not, the right-of-way is not wide enough, and it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. That would have to go to a town meeting, and all of your peers would have to vote for it, and then we have to fund it somehow, because it's not in my budget. It's
What
not
if-
in the town's budget, so that money would have to come from somewhere.
I guess my point to that, and that's what I'm saying, and I don't know, I mean, I'm sure you know that the town has liability insurance and stuff like that, but if
Well,
something
liable
did-
anywhere, somebody drives off or somebody does something stupid. I mean, because one person's madder than the other, it doesn't make a difference.
I mean, I think that was one of the reasons, it was like the Amazon guy drove off the road.
Yeah,
You know?
well, we've had a couple of trucks get stuck.
You know,
Oh.
but then again, you know, I mean, I think I said at the meeting, I mean, you know, obviously the Amazon guy that drove off the road wasn't paying, I mean, you mustn't be paying attention, right? Yeah, we had a school bus,
But you
we had a
can't-
school bus drive off the road on Upper County Road.
Yeah, going
You
too
know,
fast,
so-
he went up to Washboard.
So, I mean, if he's not paying attention, I mean, same thing. you know, so
Absolutely.
If
Well,
drivers aren't
But
paying
you
attention.
can't look at the section of road and say that it's fine otherwise. It's not. You go off that cliff, you're gonna have a real problem. It's inherently dangerous. And it's not wide enough to just throw a guardrail up and say, job done. It's gotta get wider. So there's some structural issues with that section of that road in particular that would have to be addressed if we're gonna leave it open as a regular road. And this body's recommendation, the Board of Selectmen's decision, was to do that, the bar is too high to make it a regular road today. And the compromise was put up gates and allow the residents to access. Now, the allowing the residents to access is the problem we're having, because people keep removing the town locks. So my recommendation to the board next week is that we lock it and don't give anybody keys. If people that live up there want to use it during the warmer months and schedule time on the weekend, that's what my recommendation is going to
I
be.
mean, I think one of the other recommendations was instead of locks, to have, the residents have some type of a fob key or something like that. I mean,
With
what
an
if we had
electric
that?
gate, yeah.
Because if you had something like that, now you got a gate that closes behind, there's no lock involved, and, I don't know, I mean, maybe, that makes them happy,
Well, it may be, but there's a lot of cost and maintenance involved in that, including running electrical services to each of those gates, because the power's not free.
Well, we got-
Building,
we got-
no, you have power, but then we
got
have
power lines
to.
up there.
Yeah, no, but then we gotta pay to put in electrical service at each gate, so it'll be metered, because the electric company doesn't give away power, and then we have to buy the gates, and we have to maintain electric gates in the middle of a forest, essentially. That's fraught with inherent problems from my perspective as maintenance, because those things are gonna fail. They're gonna get hit, they're gonna get bent. I mean, electric gates are nice in parks and things like that, and if you have a gated community, but that's effectively what you would be building there, and that opens up a can of worms for the rest of the town. If we're gonna do it there, why don't we do it everywhere? I mean, there's always, simple solutions, we would have done it. There's a lot of considerations on any kind of things like that. And I get your position is the gate should be, the road should be open. I understand that.
And frankly, if somebody buys a lock to change the lock so the gate's not being used, and you've got an electric gate, it's what, $1.50 more to buy a chain for that lock, and the
Yeah.
gate still doesn't work?
Right, now the gate doesn't go up. I mean, so the decision was to put up gates and limit access. The limiting access part is where we're having an issue. I'm gonna make a recommendation next week. I don't know.
I just sense it's gonna be a big problem with this guy, something, I just feel something's gonna happen. And that's, it's my perspective. It's-
What could
it's
we
how
do
I
about
feel.
that? Other than develop the
Again,
road?
the idea is not to have, you're gonna have somebody drive up the road, right? And you got a gate there, you're trapped. I mean, he hasn't. done
Well, the
any-
road's closed
He hasn't
in
done
that
anything
section.
visibly to me, yeah.
Why
I
would
think it's
anybody
gonna
drive
help.
up there though? It's well signed. It's well noticed at the bottom of the hill. It's well signed at both ends. The road's closed.
Well, why don't we leave them signs up and then just take the gate, then just leave it, leave it as closed, I don't know.
Same issue. It's not a safe area to traverse.
No, I mean, people go up and people stop, and this guy, like I said, he's a bitter guy, and I mean, if you do what you're gonna do, I'm sure he's gonna be perfectly happy with that, because that gives him his,
Well, not really. I mean, we'll be opening the gates on the weekends, I'm sure, when people ask for them to be open. But, I mean, that's a compromise, the only thing I've come up with. It's either that or lock it all the time.
yeah,
But that would not give any of the residents access.
yeah, anyway, it was my opinion in the meeting, I do, I'll use the road, don't use it all the time, but, I like going. I mean, a lot of times when I come home from work, I come up, it's,
No, I understand.
not
I get it.
hurry to get anywhere, it's a nice little, a nice little path to take, and, I don't
Sure.
know, it's just, and it's a lot easier going that way than it is to go all the way around up Galbraith and down that way to get to my house, right?
Mhm. Yeah, quite.
And, although that's not accessible in the wintertime because
No,
of duplicates.
stay closed. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, I enjoy it, I liked it, I was satisfied at the meeting when I found out I was gonna get a key. I said, all right, well, I guess I can still do it, a little inconvenience, I gotta get out, but, just the idea of, now, dealing with them is just not a comfortable situation. And my reason for coming the other way is because, then I kind of more or less, he's not seeing me come up in front of his house, I can get in, out.
Listen,
be
I
done.
appreciate your concerns and you're sharing them with us, but, as I mentioned, it's really something we as a body can't do anything about. So, I think if it's okay with you, I'd really like to move on with the rest
Yeah,
of our
well, that's
agenda.
fine, okay, I mean, I just wanted to come.
And I wanted to give you the opportunity to say your piece here.
No, I appreciate it.
Unfortunately, we're not the folks with the authority to act on your concerns.
Okay,
Yeah.
all
Okay.
right, thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome. Next order of business. Presentation of the Summers Senior Community Center. Todd Roll.
Hi, Todd Rowland, Director of Public Works, for the record. Yes, I guess it's to bring this body up to understand what's transpired thus far. As you probably know, the town's been looking into replacing the existing senior center with a senior community center. I believe you all have the presentation that we sent out. I've got one copy of the pictures and the presentation. We had two public hearings, one at the senior center and one here in the auditorium a few weeks ago. And that is kind of what we've come up with, a design. We looked at the need and the space needs for the need to fill the roles of the what came out of the survey that went out to all the citizens in October, as far as what they would want to see and what the highest and best use of each space is. Working with our architect and a design committee, we came up with this design to effectively put it, if it was to go to bond and be approved by the voters, to build it behind the existing senior center that we have today. Ultimately, the existing building would be torn down and turned into or folded into the parking lot area for the senior center. Right now in the process, we had the presentations. Our architects are working on the opinions of probable cost to give us numbers to go to bond with. I should expect to see those next week, I think, or so, from the architects. Once we have that, we will present it to the Board of Selectmen. If they vote to move it forward, then, likelihood it will go to the Finance Board and then be included in a bond issue this May. If it's approved by the voters to fund this, our next step is then to write an RFP and go out to bid with eye on construction would be next year at the earliest at this point. Probably next year might be aggressive, but that's what we would shoot for, to start construction next year and finish probably in 25, sometimes along that line.
So the current senior center remains active while this is being built?
Correct, yeah.
No.
This current senior center would remain active. You have construction activity around it with fencing and what have you. And then once this is mostly built out, when the building's built and ready, we would then take the existing senior center down and then finish all of the site work in the entire site.
Right. Kind of an unrelated question, but I thought with this coming down, I knew you were doing some work under the building next door here, the old Piedmont Center.
That's canceled.
That's canceled. Okay.
That project is unfunded and canceled.
No money, no building.
Correct.
All right. Okay. I thought that, my guess was that was where the office space was going, but I just wanted to confirm that.
Well, the thought with that was to bring human services over there, not recreation and leisure. Rec and leisure, part of the building out this community center is right now we have rec and leisure admin offices in Kibbe, and then we have the senior center operating where it is, and then we also have human services in Kibbe, and there's really not enough space for everybody.
Okay.
If this building moves forward and comes to fruition, then the recreation and leisure admin offices would be housed in this building because they're the ones.
And
that own
because
it,
it's a community center, social services is a nice fit as well.
Social services would not be in there.
Would not be in there.
No, human services would stay in Kibbe as it is now, but it would get the whole building.
Okay.
We were looking for a stopgap solution for a short while to build out Piedmont, but
Okay.
it's going to be too expensive to do it, so that project's canceled.
Okay. So this is the 8-24 referral to the Planning Commission for,
Yes, and feel free to school me because this is my first one.
okay. 8-24 is a state law that requires when the town takes on a major building purchasing redesign project that They come before the planning commission, give a presentation, we give a yes or no to it. If we give a yes to it, everything moves forward normally. If we give a no to it, you can overrule us by town meeting. But, so most, anytime a town is building something or making a major sort of.
Significance.
Right, it has to come before us.
How do you define significance? Because I do
Always a great
remodeling,
question.
and,
I mean,
you know,
I mean.
Well, this is,
I
obviously.
remember, like, right, this is big, right? I mean, in my head, one time if somebody was spending more than $5,000, everybody wanted to know about it. Now if somebody's spending $5,000, you're buying
It's not-
lunch.
Jesus,
Yeah,
yeah, I know,
right.
that's
You
a pretty
know,
low
I
bar.
mean, so when you say what's significant, I mean,
This is applicable to our POCD.
right,
Right.
You know,
Right,
right,
And so that's our oversight.
right.
yeah, but if we're remodeling building, not building, but, you know, rooms or things, I mean.
I mean,
we do that all the
if you're
time.
throwing a couple of petitions somewhere, I don't think we need to hear about it. If you're renovating a major portion of a town building and, you know, you're getting
Larger scale
engineering
project.
drawings and going,
Right,
right.
okay.
I think, in my head, it's sort of, if it's something that you're gonna have to go through some hurdles to get the money in or chasing grants for, or, you know, looking for special budget authorizations to do, we probably need to be part of that process.
Okay.
If you're fixing something that's broken or dividing
Yeah, that's maintenance.
one office into 3, I'm not sure that triggers the statute. But as with most statutes, it's vague.
Yes.
Okay. We've looked at this. It's consistent with our plan of conservation and development. So can I have a motion to approve the 8-24 referral for the community center? Can I have a motion to approve?
I can do it.
You still here?
I'm here.
Okay. Well, so moved. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Go build.
Thank you. Well, no, I got a long ways to go.
Any other business before the commission?
Motion, minutes for December 13th
Oh, yes, I skipped
meeting.
minutes, didn't I? Nice try.
Yeah, I've motioned to approve minutes as is.
You have a motion, we hear a second.
Yeah.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you,
Thanks, Pat.
Pat.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
All right.
We are
Thank you,
no longer in
gentlemen.
business,
Yep.
so I will pull the plug.